regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington. It is 7:13 p.m. on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Here.
Trustee Hayes. Trustee Perkins. Here. Trustee Schaller.
Here.
Trustee Schaumoser.
Here.
Trustee Van Ryn.
Yes.
And President Richardson.
Here. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item 4, we'll dispatch this quickly, is approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting on March 4, 2025. Are there questions, edits, or comments for the clerk? If not, Chair would like a motion to approve. Trustee Schaller, may I please have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Perkins. Thank you both. Clerk, will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Schaller.
Yes.
Trustee Schaumoser.
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn.
Yes.
And President Richardson.
Yes, the Chair would like unanimous consent that the record remain open for 5 business days for the purposes of any necessary technical and conforming amendments or objections so ordered. President's remarks. We're going to do this a little out of order tonight, so forgive me. I have some distinguished fellow elected officials here. I'd like to recognize Sheriff John Heidelberg, Sheriff of Lake County, and a great friend of mine and of the village. Sheriff, would you like to come up and say hello for a moment? We sure love your team, and they sure take great care of us. And Sheriff, that little button on the bottom will turn on the microphone for the...
All right, see, now I always have to have your assistant with me. It is my honor and pleasure to be here. I have heard nothing but great things about this community, and the lieutenant told me about how successful we work together. And I want to be here to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to continue this relationship. Since you're leaving, sir, I will miss you, but I'm also looking forward to continuing this friendship and relationship with the incoming board and leadership. Thank you very much, sir. I wish you well.
God bless you, Sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize my dear friend and neighbor, Eleanor Sweet McDonald from North Barrington.
All right, so the trick is over
The
here.
big one in the middle.
All right, perfect. All right.
And you're wearing that Nancy Reagan red that I like. God bless you.
I know, it's becoming my brand color. First of all, I'm here, I told Sharon I was coming for one reason, but the problem is I'm here representing the greater Barrington area, but I do want to put on my role as president of the Village of North Barrington for 1 minute, okay, and then I will go to my other hat. So I did bring here, let me pass it around. I brought for all the trustees and a copy for you, Sharon, and one for your clerk, this document. So, I don't want to go into the whole document at this point because I really came for another reason, which I think is frankly at this moment more important. But I'm giving you this document. This is, and I'll be working with President Burke. Once you get elected, I'll come back again and we can go into this conversation more in depth. This is what I have labeled the GO project, okay? So Kevin is familiar. I've been working on the project. I've kind of been coming out of the closet with the community since last August, and so this is my first official meeting to you. The GO project is relative to what we call the free car wash in North Barrington that we're going to be eliminating, okay? So it's an interjurisdictional regional project. It involves 4 to 5 government organizations. It encompasses 30 acres and 40 homes are being impacted. I'm giving you the information, which we're going to update, but I want you to have it to act as my messengers, okay? So if you are hearing from residents that are complaining either about the water or the brief first time, I think in 40 years, that the roads actually closed when we had the ice for safety reasons, I want you to have a little bit of that information. I'm giving you a free license to share that. Understand it was written in August. We need to update it a little bit, but for you to help be my ambassadors as we continue to go forward. And this is a problem in all candor. I've lived in the area for 36 years. I thought I'd be the last person in the world that was going to be solving the problem, but timing is everything, and we've been offered $2.5 million DECA funds from Lake County Stormwater Management that'll be coming through funds out of Springfield, not the original ARPA funds, okay? 85% of the area affected is in the village of North Barrington, which is why I have volunteered to spearhead it, with 15% being in unincorporated Barrington going south, okay? So that was the mini there, and then I will come back and get a little bit more into the situation. I can tell you that I officially signed my final IGA with Lake County Stormwater Management on March 18th, okay? We're finishing up some easements, at which point we'll put out an RFP. John Lebedo, my village administrator, has informed me he thinks realistically we'll have the results from the RFP by this fall, and we'll be starting in the winter. Because when you work with a project involving water, apparently it's better to do it when it's dry or when it's frozen. So I want to thank everybody on behalf of the Village of North Barrington, all your residents and all your friends, for your patience as we've been enduring this safety issue for approximately since around 1988. That's when Grassmere and Haverton were built, and that compressed the farm tiles that created part of the problem. So, the real reason I'm here tonight is because of your esteemed president, Kevin Richardson is leaving. And basically myself, I was elected as president in 2019, and it was new for me. I frankly had done some volunteer work in the village, but I had never, I kind of leapfrogged over doing the trustee thing. So I was on a learning curve. And I never told you officially that I considered you from afar to be one of my mentors. And so you study people, you look at people, you ask for guidance occasionally, and certain people you tend to gravitate toward in terms of the caliber, in terms of how their answers are resonating. Also, as all of you in this room, I suspect, we appreciate honesty. And of course, as you know, Kevin Richardson is held in the highest esteem in the greater Barrington area by his peers. Obviously, you're very fortunate to have him for your residents, but a man of integrity and vision. And I wanted just to share a couple of quick things here to say that, obviously you're all good stewards in managing your fiduciary duties relative to the residents. But one of the things I have admired from afar, actually, I never explained it to Kevin or anybody, is every village is unique, okay? I have 3,200 residents and I have well and septic, and I have no retail. I have the distinct honor of having 2 country clubs, which I adore, which is Biltmore Country Club and Whinstone. But I don't have a pepper road like you, okay? I don't have a speedway. I don't have some of these things. And so when I look at other villages, I look at what they have in terms of realistically, what can I bring to my village to help my residents? Some of these are not doable. And so I don't like to use the word, but I admire, instead of using the word envy, the fact that you have your own park district, okay, that gives you some more latitude. The fact that Kevin, in my opinion, had the insight and the fortitude to become home rule, early when that was available. So there are just a lot of things I want to commend you for. Also for the, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, the fire farm situation, which I think is very unique. Also the Feather Lane Park. And so I just wanted to say that I've looked at those and looked at you as you've grown, and I admire everything that every single one of you have done. I want to thank you for your service, and particularly thank you for your service. Now, with that said and done, this is not a total surprise, or it may not be a total surprise. I came also to do a proclamation that I shared with Kevin earlier, not knowing whether or not you were going to do one. And in the offshoot that, I guess what I can say today is I wanted to share with the board. So I had executive search firm for 25 years, and when I went out and did reference checks on all the executives I worked with, I learned more about them. And going through this exercise of doing this proclamation, I learned so much more about Kevin's legacy, not only in the Lake Barrington area, but throughout this country and in Washington, D.C. And so you may all be aware of these details I'm going to share with you, but I felt it was worth the moment to appreciate the man and what he has accomplished, not only for us in our humble Barrington area, but also at a larger scale. So if you will allow me that, and for you, I know you have 2 homes, so now you're going to have a copy for each home. And I want to expand this, even though it says the Village of North Barrington, please understand that I'm speaking for all the other mayors in the greater Barrington area, including Deer Park and South Barrington. So let me say that this is from the greater Barrington area. It's a mayoral proclamation, a recognition of President Kevin Richardson for his public service to the village of Lake Barrington and beyond. Whereas President Kevin Richardson began his public service in 1999 when he was elected trustee to the Lake Barrington Board of Trustees and served in this capacity until 2005 when he was elected president and then re-elected in 2009, 2013, 2017, and 2021, and has honorably served as village president for 20 years. Whereas President Richardson's public service in Lake Barrington spans 26 years in total, but his civic service goes beyond the village of Lake Barrington. Kevin served on the Board of Visitors at the Graduate School of Public Policy at Pepperdine University, on the Advocacy Board, as member of the Institute for the Latino Studies at the University of Notre Dame from 2009 to 2013, Political Advocacy Committee at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. since 2007, and served on the Mayoral's Water Council for the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C. since 2007. And whereas during President Richardson's tenure, he has prioritized open space and the environment. A cornerstone of this initiative is making open space publicly accessible. Under Kevin's leadership, the village of Lake Barrington was strategic about land acquisition for the preservation of open space and making Lake Barrington an oasis of gracious countryside living. And whereas Lake Barrington prized 24-acre Friar Farm, which includes a community garden, brick fire pit, horseshoes, walking trails, and winter sledding hill, sits as an example of Kevin's vision for the community. The development of the 8.1-acre Featherling Park, which boasts of walking trails, fitness stations, and an overlook pier on the pond, serves again as President Richardson's focus on protecting the natural environment and groundwater recharge area. And whereas the village of Lake Barrington has benefited from Kevin's foresight in negotiating an IGA with Wakanda, Cuba Township, and the Illinois Sierra Club to ensure the proposed expansion of the Wakanda's water reclamation plant operated under the higher treatment standards than required by the state of Illinois, therefore protecting the groundwater in Lake Barrington. And whereas Kevin's passion and relentless energy has benefited the Lake Barrington community and has made Lake Barrington a pristine environment for families that call Lake Barrington their home. Kevin's passion for the environment and collaborative leadership and vision will be missed. And now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the President, the area of Barrington, the Board of Trustees for the Village of North Barrington, that Lake Barrington President Kevin Richardson be recognized for his resolute and honorable service to the Village of Lake Barrington, and while in his capacity as trustee and president in the Village of Lake Barrington Board of Trustees from 1999 to 2025. The Greater Barrington truly thanks you, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Eleanor, my daughters in Washington, D.C. have been watching this.
They're really watching.
Yeah, they too suffer from insomnia when I'm presiding, so thank you very, very much. You and Sheriff Heidelberg coming over as fellow elected officials means a great deal. There's probably no greater honor in your career than to be honored by your peers, and I'm very grateful. Your indefatigable energy in serving the region is of immense importance, and it's something that we all value in return. So your kind comments, please know they are echoed in return, because they are well merited, and I'm privileged to call you my friend, as well as my colleague, so thank you very much. I ask another community leader here, Bill Bishop from the Veterans of Lake Barrington Shores.
Well, I had planned on speaking for a long time here tonight, but following the sheriff and Governor McDonald has shortened my speech by about 20 minutes. But I am representing our organization. organization, the Veterans of Lake Barrington Shores. And the sole purpose for our organization is to be in the business of taking care of veterans in our area, I would say, our market area, which is probably the wrong term, but nowadays we hear about veterans' problems, PTSD, suicide issues, etc., and it's a tremendous problem. The military has been shrunk by a certain amount, and we still have chores that the military has to perform in hotspots all around the world. So the same group of people, a smaller group of people, are now servicing all of the problems and fighting in some of the areas around the world. So when they get out and they come into the community here, now they're faced with, many are faced with the issues that fall upon them being in combat. PTSD, as they say, and suicide both are very, very serious problems. They say now that about 50% of those coming out of the service are suffering from PTSD at one level or another. Suicide, 16 suicides a day in the military. And the Veterans Administration is taking a very positive stand on helping veterans, but it's for our organization, we're out here in the community, and it's for our organization to raise money and funnel that into the professional organizations that are far more prepared to help those veterans in whatever it might be. And I mentioned two problems, but it's homelessness, financial problems, etc. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm here to thank all of you for the support that you have given. And one thing I would mention, Toys for Tots, that seems like a simple thing or a small thing, but we have been encouraged over the years to put one of our boxes out in the lobby here to collect toys. And this past year we collected $4,000 worth of toys that are then distributed or handed over to the Marine Corps, and they do a nationwide distribution of toys. It seems small, but it's a wonderful thing to young kids that are getting a toy or maybe several toys at Christmas time that they might not have gotten. So thank you all for that. And to President Richardson, it's all been said. I could repeat it, but I won't. And you're probably going to thank me for not doing that. So again, thanks to all of you. And I will say personally, as a retired guy myself, you're probably wondering, what in the world am I going to do when I'm in retirement? That'll last about a month, and then you'll say to yourself, I've never been busier in my life, so enjoy it.
Thank you, Bill. God bless you. One of the things about our community that I treasure, and I know I'm joined by everyone up here on this, is we are unabashedly pro-American, pro-military, pro-veteran. Those who served and risked their lives or gave their lives for us are to be honored. And so we are proud to support the work of the veterans of LBS because you serve those who have made us free. And I've used this in speaking to the vets, and you know because you've been there. But my dad was a World War II vet, as some other dads, other guys up here, other folks up here's dads have been. And I'm quite an enthusiastic student of World War II history. And at the end of the war, General George C. Marshall was asked, and he was Chief of Staff of the Army, why we won the war. And he said, our secret weapon. And the reporter said, what's that? He said, the best damn kids in the world. Because they were the product of the freest and the most open and the most religious civilization in the history of the world. And that is personified in everyone who has ever put on the uniform. It is one of the few regrets of my life. And so we honor what you do, and we appreciate your support, and we commend you for further service because your mission is so critical. So thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. I want to move on. We've got newlyweds here, so come on up and tell us about the wedding. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, but more importantly, how did you meet? And where did he propose, and what did he say?
The President Richardson, Richard Hayes on the line.
Oh, thank you.
I could have recognized me, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. One of our trustees who normally sits there is dialing in tonight. So, Jamie and Sarah, we are pleased you're here.
Well, that was a lot of things that you said to say. And wow.
I'm known for that.
Yeah, so we want to have a small wedding for farm people that matter very much to us, which is our close family. And, well, the proposal, we met actually working at church. We work at Quinton Road, and so we're both in full-time ministry there. And, yeah, he like ran me over playing Frisbee, so. Yeah, knocked me off my feet. And,
It took her a little while to realize that that was a good thing.
so, yeah, we, I don't even know. He proposed to me in Palatine and was letting go. It was really great. He set up like 400 candles. It was a lot of work. And he worked with me with kids that night, taking care of them for our addictions ministry at our church. And then he still proposed to me that night, which is crazy. But yeah.
Are you both trained in ministry?
Yes.
Oh, that's
She's
wonderful.
graduating this year.
I'm graduating out of college this month.
Well, congratulations, that is. And by the way, this is actually true. When my late wife and I became engaged, my mother gave me in a desperate hope to try to improve my wife's life, the Emily Post Guide to Etiquette, the famous etiquette guide. And I didn't know this until we were engaged. This is absolutely true. It is always congratulations to the man, and it is always best wishes to the woman. And I asked my mother, who was wickedly funny, I said, why is that? She said, well, the man is to be congratulated for persuading this intelligent, beautiful, elegant woman to become his bride.
That's about right.
And best wishes, it's just a lot nicer than, good luck with that.
Well, anytime someone says congratulations to him, he goes, well, actually, you can congratulate her.
I'll give that about a month when you come back from your honeymoon. So you're planning a small wedding at the farm, and that's covered under our agenda item 7I. And I would like to, because this is such a joyous occasion, is go around and have, because Rich, how many years have you and Danette been married? Who's got it?
I've been married for 33 years.
Okay, I'm going to total that. Susie, how about you and Dave?
17.
Okay, John, you and Carol?
As of next Sunday, it'll be 42 years.
42. Lynn and me, 36. Jim?
50.
Mazel.
50 in May.
Andy?
36.
Therese?
28 in October.
Peter?
September will be 13.
Okay, I'm going to add these up, but it's a whole bunch of years. And it is absolutely true that it is the most important journey in life. It is the foundation upon which civilization is built. It is a sacrament given to us by God. In Genesis it says it is not good for man to be alone, laying on the couch watching ESPN. And so just remember, your job is to give him a list of things to do for the rest of his life. We are thrilled. I'm going to call right now the question so that you can have this settled before you walk out the door. Chair will ask for a motion on agenda item 7I, consideration of an application for a temporary use special event for the Deerian, did I get that right, wedding ceremony to be held on Friday, June 20th, 2025 at the Friar Farm, starting at 12 p.m. And I think those who have been married the longest should be, John, why don't you move the question? And who was 42? Jim. Jim and John, well, you can't vote. I'm sorry, I forgot that. John, you, and why don't Andy second it, because those are the two old married men here.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Schaller, and a second, please.
Seconded.
Okay. Clerk, will please call the roll on this one.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Hayes.
Yes.
Trustee Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Schaller.
Yes.
Trustee Shawmoser.
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn.
Yes.
President Richardson.
Yes, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 255 years of marriage up here. If we can do it, you can.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
My granddaughter got married very similarly to the way you are going to, in a very small ceremony outdoors in a park. And it was the greatest event that I've ever attended, so good luck.
Thank you. Okay, we have a proclamation. I think we have Mr. Dan Nichols here for a concept presentation. And then when he's finished, we'll go to the proclamation on Jewish American Heritage Month. And then I've got a few comments before we get into the agenda.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Sharon, for making this possible. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dan Nichols. I represent an LLC called Aphorism Holdings, as well as an S corporation called Aphorism Seafood Incorporated. We're working on a 501c3 for outreach, cultural outreach in the musical realm. And I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a musician, I'm a father, I'm a former college educator, I'm a business owner in Barrington, Lisle, and I'm looking for a home for an entrepreneurial activity here in Lake Barrington. So my partner, one of 5 partners, that is Bill Sherman, is here with me as well. Most of them are composed of people who I've either met in musical circumstances or former students or otherwise. I'm sorry, congratulations on 20 years of service. It's sort of bittersweet to be presenting to a place that may be a future home for me when such a well-thought individual is.
Well, the talent is staying. The drag is what's staying.
Great. So I have handed out a couple manila folders that have a lot of information in them. I'll try to keep this brief, and then I guess I'll collect questions. We are interested in the North Point Parkway property. It's a part of the Recplex. There's a condo unit for sale from the original owner that took over from the bank in 2008. There's a mature group there for the better part of 9 to 10 years. My understanding of leaving in May. The building has been on the market for over 100 days currently. And we see it as a prime opportunity to put an acoustic music studio in the backyard of Lake Barrington. I'm based currently out of North Aurora, but I've lived in LaFox and DeKalb, Illinois. My partners were from Frankfurt, St. Charles, Belton, Chicago, Evanston proper. One even lives in South Bend currently, where he works for the University of Notre Dame, which is one of our major clients.
Motion passed.
Yeah, we have the pleasure actually on Sunday, we're going to be out there recording the Magnificat Choir doing the Sabbath Mater, which is both like a musical event and also like a sort of a prayer service video. So we're really excited about that. Tomorrow, Bill and I are headed to Milwaukee to record the German Requiem with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. So we've been doing this for a long time, about 15 years. Picked up partners along the way. We have never had a centralized location. So I'm a 42-year-old man working out of my basement. That said, between my partners and myself, we have 3 Grammys and over 10 nominations in classical and acoustic music fields. You'll find a limited list of some of our qualifications on this CD for later digestion. There's also an article from 2021 from the Chicago Tribune, where myself and 2 of my partners at the time were featured as the Chicago Engineer in classical music. Really important thing, we're able to help with musical outreach and help people further their careers during COVID, using technology so that people can still reach their audiences and connect. Past that, you'll find a listing for the property. It's currently zoned for recreational usage. A music dance studio is covered under that recreational usage, but a music studio proper is not. So I'm hoping to impress upon this board that we have something to offer as well. And we're looking for zoning relief for modification through the appropriate processes should our value be recognized by the village. Beyond that, there are also 2 articles, one of which is from WBZ, where I was called up for soundbite on a $80 million project that's happening in Chicago's South Side. And we're planning on doing something larger here for considerably less money with a much shorter time frame. So we are looking at building for about 1.3 million is asking on it. We have a studio designer under contract who puts the renovation costs at between $1 and $1.5 million. So we have an existing client list, and we have all of our equipment, grand pianos, organs, etc., that you would need to essentially get this up and running in a very short period of time. The building, I've been looking for properties, and that's how I ended up owning a farm actually. But looking for properties in places like Aurora proper. I had a deposit in a church there a number of years ago. We were talking to the municipality there about potential administrative school buildings that they were shutting down, that they were turning over to grant funding, but nothing has jumped out in a way that this particular environment and this particular structure has. After the two articles, you'll find a brief summary of the Illinois Film Production and Services Tax Credit, which currently drives approximately $3.5 billion of business to Illinois per year as a film and music services production tax credit. And this covers anything from sort of soundstage usage, which is music for movies and TV, which there's no good place in Chicago to do. Hence the two articles on the $80 million unfunded project that has no timetable. And it shows the sort of business and accolades that we could bring to this area. The last two bits of information in here speak to our studio designer, Wesley Show. He's based out of North Carolina. He's international now. He has a long career. There's sort of his brief bio. Then you'll see a sample summary of one of his larger independently standing studios in North Carolina. And then also a proposal that we had to hit pause on, mainly for cost reasons, in the unincorporated Fox area. We would much rather do this in an area that's a little bit more conducive to business, where we have the proper zoning, we have the proper access to the metro, and we have the ability to reach out to the community with a future 501c3 that's nested within these other entrepreneurial activities. So that's a lot. So I'm willing to take any questions or your guidance in going through this process.
Thank you, Dan, and we appreciate your interest. Our vision statement for the last 20 years has been an oasis of gracious countryside living, and so this kind of activity is certainly, in my view, very appropriate and comporting with that vision statement and our comprehensive plan which governs the zoning. It is our custom to go around. I am always reminded that the purpose of courtesy reviews is to give you an initial sense of how a proposal that anyone would make fits against our comprehensive plan as voiced by the elected trustees who are developing and in charge with implementing it. People are welcome to always submit a petition before the Plan Commission for public hearings, and we are bound by the four corners of their findings in making a decision. So we function as an appellate court, they function as the trial court and the finder of fact. But we love when people do this because we can save trouble. We've had in the distant past people go through a long process and then be very disappointed to be turned down at the board. If they had known there was hesitation up front, they are always welcome to put their best case forward in a fair and objective manner. And we don't lean on the scales. But we do give people courtesy because time and money are scarce, and we like to show that respect. So we welcome your presentation. I'm compelled to remind myself and remind you that we can't give you approval tonight.
Absolutely.
Other than we can say best of luck. So I'll start on my far right with Trustee Richard Hayes dialing in. Questions for Dan?
No, I think it's kind of awesome what you just shared with us. I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
And I don't know that it has to go through the process here, but on the surface it sounds wonderful. So that's my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Perkins.
Thank you, President Richardson. I'm just looking at this first sheet here. I mean, you've really had quite the career already.
One of my favorite things of leaving the public sector and entering the private sector, having taught college for 15 years, was being able to not only teach students and see them attain their own careers, but actually bring some with me and help them make it on the way out of the world and build, as well as at least 3 of my other partners are all former students. We have good relationships as adults and business people, and it's been really, really satisfying to know that I'm just a small part of this.
Yeah, this is an amazing resume, if you will. I wish you all the luck, and hopefully we can both of you here soon.
Trustee
for what appears to me to be a world-class operation. I was in broadcasting for 20 years, 30 years, and so to know that such a facility would be in our area is just phenomenal. I'm excited about the opportunity, so I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Burke.
Liam, thanks for being here, and you did a really good job covering a lot of ground swiftly, so I applaud you for that. It is a very impressive packet, very impressive resume, and to echo what others have said, we're tickled that you thought of us and you found a place that could be your future home. I feel very connected in a lot of ways. When I was going to college, thinking about going to college, I wanted to be a sound engineer, and my father said there's no future in that. He said just be a regular engineer, and then once you've established yourself, if you want to start learning how to record other people, do it. And I never really got around to learning how to record other people, so I have to live my life vicariously through people like you. But I'm a music lover, and I'm a classic music lover. Everybody in my house knows that Sunday morning is classical music Sunday. So you don't put any of your other crap on, it's my classical music. And now all my kids are grown, we love this. Sunday morning, they all play classical music in their own homes. So, and I also lead our economic development group. So this is part of the outreach, and work very closely with Sharon, and she gave you the counsel that says, come and talk to us and take the pulse of this board, because as President Richard said, we're not even wasting anybody's time or money, and we're going to be honest with you. If we love your idea, we're going to tell you we love it. Let's figure out how to get it done. And if we don't like it, we're going to tell you we don't and why we don't, and maybe we can work around that. So hopefully you're enjoying the positive feedback that you're receiving from us tonight, and we hope that we can continue the process with you moving forward.
Thank you.
Trustee Van Ryan.
Appreciate you being here, Dan. Thank you so much. I'm curious, what's the background on the name, aphorism?
So that was a long process of looking for something that hadn't already been taken. And I, for a long time, one of the best schools in the greater North American area to study sound recording, at least at the doctorate level, is McGill up in Montreal. And I was stuck at a juncture where I didn't know if I wanted to keep teaching or if I wanted to leave and pursue my craft and then try to move to a different university. And I was trying to think of a studio name, and I came up with, the closest thing I could come up with is like you have these moments in your life where you have these musical encounters that are profound, and the hair stands up on the back of your neck, and that's called a frisson, right? And so I was like, oh, Frisson Studios, this is going to be perfect. And I Googled it, and there's already a studio Frisson in Montreal, down the road from McGill, which is like the mecca of it. Yeah, so I said, maybe time to rethink this. I need to take my own angle, I need to stay native to Illinois, I need to do this my own way. And for me, the alliteration and the wisdom of the word itself, aphorism, is what led me to the name after the sort of profound reckoning with another thing that I thought was original but was taken already.
That's a great story. One other question for you. You obviously have an amazing list of clients and collaborators. Would there be an opportunity, should you open your studios here, for the local community residents to get involved?
Yeah, so one of the ideas that we have once we get up and running is to start a 501c3, because I still have an itch after leaving teaching 2.5 years ago to reach out to local communities. We take on internships from folks at University of Chicago or Illinois State or other areas, but one of the things that we haven't done is gone back to like high schools or otherwise, give them talks, mentor younger students, show them what's possible. So one of the models that we have for that is creating a 501c3 where we can accept donor dollars, do this sort of outreach, take on younger students who are interested in being exposed to this technology and this sort of way of creating art, among other things. So yeah, that sort of outreach is very important to us. We also are looking for relationships between schools in the area that have orchestral groups or choral groups or band groups that want to come in and do a recording or learn about the process or how studios work. So yeah, that sort of interactivity is really, really important to us.
That sounds incredible. Thank you so much.
Trustee Shaw.
Thank you, Dan, for coming in. My son Leo is 9. He's taking 10th private lessons. His instructor is placed in Chicago with the orchestra. Just fantastic.
Awesome.
And just bring arts to our community, to echo Trustee Schauber's comments. It's a privilege that you're considering us, and it'd be a great statement. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
At some point, I could see a concert at Friar Farm. But she chairs special events, so that's.
So one of the usage scenarios that we're looking at exploring is also what we call a studio session. So you have a group come in, book studio time, they work on the record, the performance, they get it all settled, and then you can sell tickets to, like, say, a 1,600 seat audience to come in and experience the space. So the structure that we're looking at is approximately 15,000 square feet.
Wow.
So it would be one of the top 5 largest sound stages in North America as soon as it opens. Putting, like, say, George Lucas's pet project, Skywalker Center, that's approximately 4,800 square feet. Half of this facility that we're looking at, we have a possibility of a 9,000 square foot library, which is just like, it would be unprecedented. Especially if there is community involvement, if we can, host receptions or otherwise, bring in catering, have musical crossover events.
Well, not only a concert at Friar Farm, but Trustee Van Ryan shares comms and branding for us, and she is going to be starting an effort to interview different business owners online and then post it on social media. And we talked about it with Sean McHugh at the Lake Barrington Steakhouse the other night when Teresa and her husband and I had dinner. And I can see a concert, but I can see lots of things we're happy to promote. This I will commit the next row or two. We are good about taking care of those who come here.
Great. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
We're thrilled. Thank you. Okay, we have a proclamation tonight. We've done this for the last several years. It concerns Jewish American Heritage Month, and I'm always happy to have this. And I signed the U.S. Conference of Mayors letter on this. And so tonight, I'd like to read that proclamation and then call for a motion and a second, and have the clerk call the roll on this. And I just missed my place here. Hang on. There we go. Proclamation of the Village of Lake Barrington Jewish American Heritage Month. Whereas Jewish immigrants to America, ever since their first arrival to our shores in the 16th century, have played a central role in the creation, growth, freedom, prosperity, and strength of the United States of America. And whereas the history of the Jewish people and the enduring values of the Jewish faith were vital sources of inspiration for the founding of the United States, the Civil Rights Movement, America's global leadership in the cause of freedom, Americans' commitment to social justice, and many of our country's most central tenets. And whereas following the rebirth of Zionism and the return of the Jewish people to the Jewish homeland, the United States was the first country in the world to recognize the State of Israel in 1948. And over the years, it has developed a deep friendship and unbreakable alliance with the State of Israel based upon shared values and mutual interests. Whereas for 43 years, every president of the United States has declared a period of time for celebrating the contributions to the United States of the Jewish community's history, heritage, and culture. And since 2006, the month of May has been presidentially declared to be Jewish American Heritage Month, pursuant to a bipartisan resolution of Congress. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the President of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington, Lake County, Illinois, that the Village of Lake Barrington encourages all residents to take time to celebrate the contribution of Jewish Americans and Jewish American culture and heritage to our community and our country. May I have a motion, please? So moved. By Trustee Schauber, thank you. And may I have a second?
Second.
That was close. I think I'll give this one to Trustee Schauber. Thank you, and I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Hayes.
Yes.
Trustee Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Schauber.
Yes.
Trustee Schauber.
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryan.
Yes.
And President Richardson.
Yes, thank you. Next month, President's remarks will include my South Fest. Okay, I don't want to go too far down that road tonight. I'm going to save that. But I can't help but take a moment to first congratulate Mayor-elect Andy Burke on his victory and all the re-elected trustees who stood and successfully were re-elected by their neighbors and friends. So I want to first start with and this comes at a time of great transition in my life. So I will say this again, so you're going to hear this at least one more time, maybe two more times, but everybody on the dais with a child, raise your hand, and in the audience, raise your hand, right? One of the things that new parents have to do is they have to redo their will to say who gets their child if something happens to both of them. It's probably the toughest decision you make as a new parent. It is gut-wrenching. Because who's going to love this child as much as we do? Who's going to nurture it and encourage it and protect it and teach it right from wrong as much as we will? Who is going to make sure that this child is safe and secure and prosperous and happy and successful? And that list gets real short real fast. I feel somewhat that way because in the next month I let my child, the village of Barrington, but I leave it in hands and I wrote out my political will and I named the 6 people up here as the ones who will inherit this. Love my child as I know you do and protect her and take care of her. I'm blessed to have 2 beautiful daughters who I believe are listening into this. And it matters a great deal. I've had 3 great cornerstones of most of my adult life. One is being in elected life here, the other is having been Lynn Richardson's husband. And the third is being an executive with a bunch of big Chicago companies. And all of those will come to an end in the not too distant future. My wife having been called home by the Lord last August. And so I am very, very attuned to the notion of who will love my child as much as I do. But I take great comfort in the fact that Peter Schallmoser and Therese Van Ryan and John Scheller and Susie Perkins and Rich Hayes and President Andy Burke and Attorney Jim Bateman and Administrator Sharon Peterson and Treasurer Peggy Hirsch and Clerk Rebecca Harrington will also love and watch and nurture and protect this beautiful child that we call home. So I don't want to get too much more because I'll start to cry. And man, I cry at a drop of a hat. So I want to thank you for giving me that indulgence. And I have some friends who want to come next month. And we also want to recognize Andy's great success. He comes at exactly the right time. My skill set was great for the last 20 years because we needed to win political fights. And that's my wheelhouse. And we won. We didn't lose a single one. But the mission going forward is different because it has to be. Now it's about consolidating and bringing expertise and insight and talent to taking this village to the next level. And that's where Andy and his remarkable career experience and his tremendous success are exactly the logical next step. So I leave somewhat with a heavy heart because I love this job, but I leave with joy because I know I have the best possible people in the world to protect this place. And I thank you for that. So with that, I'm going to keep going, otherwise I will start to blur. And Mary Ellen and Cheryl, thanks for staying on. You can go now. Okay, agenda item 6. This is the first opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board on non-agenda items. Chair sees none, so we can move to the agenda, the consent agenda under item number 7. A, consideration of a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement to amend the term of lobbying services with Fidelity Consulting Group LLC relative to the village's environmental and water quality policy and transportation policy. B, consideration of a resolution allocating the 2025 volume cap to the village of Buffalo Grove, Illinois. C, consideration of a resolution establishing a village infrastructure fund and providing for and authorizing the transfer of funds of the village from the village's central general fund account to the village's new infrastructure fund account for the benefit of the village. D, consideration of an ordinance amending the Lake Barrington Village Code, Section 2-3-6, classification of licenses. E, consolidation of an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement with Max Strategies Group Incorporated to provide certain consulting services to the village. F, consideration of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Lake Barrington and Cuba Township Road District, Lake County, Illinois. G, consideration of the purchase of high-service pump valves in the amount of $11,892 from Dorner Company of Sussex, Wisconsin. H, consideration of a one-year extension engagement letter with Selden Fox and Associates Limited of Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois. And we had already considered separately, so Chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 7A through H. May I have that motion, please? By Trustee Van Ryn, seconded by Trustee Perkins. Thank you both. I'm going to get my notes accurate. Thank you. And clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Hayes.
Yes.
Trustee Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Schauer.
Yes.
Trustee Schauer.
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn.
Yes.
President Richardson.
Yes.
And Trustee Berg, he's not here, so I'll abstain.
Okay. Chair will hold the vote open
Okay.
until such time as Trustee Burke. Do you vote yes on the consent agenda?
I do, yes.
Okay. Agenda item 8, Treasurer's Report, Mrs. Hirsch.
Alrighty. It seems a little odd to talk about what's happened. We already talked about what's happened and what's going to happen, but I will try to be brief. Before you have the financial statements. These are actual, not estimated actual. The 10 months ended February 28th, 2025. So we've got 2 more months left in our fiscal year. And we've, in the budget tonight, which is before you to approve as well, we tried to estimate it as best as we could. We're pretty good now, like kind of the last couple of months, because there's a lot of historical data that we have to go forth and pretty good idea which way things are going. But anyways, we'll start with the flash report, which is my page 2. I'm not sure what your page number is, but it's the second page of the financial report. And you'll see that we have assets of $3,427,000. Our liabilities are at $507,000, and our equity at $2,920,000. Revenue for the 10 months is $3,446,000, and our expenses are $3,414,000, giving us a net income of just over $31,000. We compare this to last year. At this point last year, we showed a loss of $599,000. So to compare those two, like we do every month, we pull out the unusual items. And last year compared to this year, there was a lot more road work, and that really is the difference between our net income numbers. But when we pull those items out, our net income from what we'll call regular operations at this point is $819,000 compared to last year, $623,000. So the differences that haven't changed. Our miscellaneous income is up because of the insurance, our interest is up, and our DECO grant is up from last year, and some of our expenses are down. So I keep pointing out the same things each month, so I feel awkward keep saying the same thing each month, a broken record. It's safe to say that there's nothing concerning going on, and we're on track with, we just talked about how we think the year is going to end up. And so we're pretty much, we're kind of following that through. Happy to answer any questions. So far we didn't have anything unusual. We'll go through the financial statements this month. There's some larger things coming on the warrants, which I will discuss when we get to those. If we flip forward to our budget to actual, which we do each month just to kind of see where we are, compared to the budget. We're still tracking, as we've tracked the last few times. Our budget is 80% actual budget. We're pretty much right there, 10 months is about 83% of the year. And then on the last page, our expenditures are 88% budget, so we're a little bit high. And we know what those numbers are. Our interior building maintenance is high because of this remodeling here. Our building department consultant's a little high this year, and engineering is up, but also our permit revenue is up as well. So once again, nothing really concerning to point out, but I'm happy to talk about anything in particular on the general fund before we go further.
What page number, your page number?
The page number, the first part of the actual budget report is page 13, my page 13. I don't know your page, sorry.
Yep.
Okay. And some of these are tiny, where we've collected all our real estate taxes at this point. We've collected all our license fees, and our business licenses, and our food and liquor licenses. We've collected those. And then, so something's not recognized yet. For instance, the sales tax rebate, we never booked that until the end of the year. We accrue it at the end of the year, and that's when it's booked. So if there's anything that jumps out at you, I'm happy to explain it. Some of these percentages are really high, but it's a small number. For instance, unemployment tax is up 760% from budget. Okay, well, it's like $4,000. We got a big adjustment for unemployment tax. So our rate went from like 0.8 to like 8.8% or something. So we'll pay for that for a couple of years. We have a employee turnover and an unemployment phase. We catch up to it. We catch up to you, so to speak. But as I said, the number looks high, but the percentage looks high, but in reality, the number is quite small. And anything else the trustees would like me to discuss? Anything jump out? We go, what's that?
Are there questions for the treasurer?
Okay, well, we'll just go right on to other funds, motor fuel tax fund. We have $635,000 in current assets in there. We mentioned earlier that we're going to spend $343 of that this year, so we still have a nice carryover for prior years or future years for road work out of the MFG fund. Still growing about $18,000 to $20,000 per month. There's been some things in the paper you may have seen where they're talking about maybe charging a per mile usage to drivers as opposed to gasoline tax, because we're not capturing all the electric vehicles that are using our roads. We're not capturing a reimbursement for them for those roads. That's just something in the early stages. It'll be very interesting to see how that shakes out. I've just seen articles on that they're talking about that. But until now, our MFT is relatively consistent. So we're not, it's not hurting us yet, so to speak. Page 21, the water sewer fund, that's at net current assets of almost $1.7 million, which is good because we're going into this whole plan now, going forward with that, but nothing to highlight this month going on in there. The water rate study will be finishing up soon, so we'll have some information for the board at some point soon. Okay, going to the warrants, there's just a few to mention. On warrant A, the general fund, Black Diamond, for $2,565, and that is for the faucets in the bathroom, which is nice to have all that finished. State Graphics, $2,194.01, and that's for the spring newsletter, which should be coming out soon. And then under the water sewer fund, Baker Tilly for $3,845. That is the final payment for the water rate study, and that total came to $19,500, and that is what they quoted us for that study. And then lastly, on warrant B, CWF restoration, $55,163.53, and that's the final payment for the village hall renovation and remodel. So I think that's a big thing to celebrate, at least for staff. Staff is very excited, and that brings that whole total to $160,407.03. A lot of work done here at Village Hall. And that's all I have. Any questions about anything in the reports? Okay.
Dave Dish, trustee days. Just for the record, can you tell us how much of the restoration was paid for by insurance, approximately?
I think it was 128, but let me, hold on one second.
Yeah, both on the percentage and the dollar basis.
Okay, hold on. I had it printed out here, but I thought that question might come up, actually. Of course, sorry, hold on. It's either 98 or 128. This number is going from memory because I've seen so many numbers tonight. I'm embarrassed I can't tell you off the top of my head because...
No, we received a check for $94,642.07.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and then this $160,000 does not include the $50,000 that was paid to Black Diamond for all the work they had to do. Just, it's different, it was different work, just in full disclosure. Yeah. But that was not remodel, that was to reroute the sewer, or the piping, whatever. Okay, is that it? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, I should stay. My turn next.
Do you have any further comments before you step away on the financial plan for next year? Because we're going to vote on that as well.
I do not.
Okay. We discussed this.
And awesome, yes.
So just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Okay, then.
President Richard?
Yes, please.
Just for the public record, just to put it in the record, I think we've gotten a lot more sophisticated with Peggy and the staff and everybody looking at how we do it. And one of the things that we improved upon, I think, and how we think through our budgets going forward is the idea of wants versus needs. And in light of that, creating a priority of the needs against those things that we want so we can flex our budget to reconcile and line up with available revenue. So, and we've been fortunate not having to have raised taxes over all these years, at least since I've been here. And I think going forward, it's important that we evaluate that each year, but we have a system in which to do it now. And I'm really happy the work Peggy and Sharon and the team did to assist us in making those decisions going forward. So I think this next year is going to be great in terms of being able to look at that going forward. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. The power that your work provides to this board is because we can make good decisions based on good data, and you will stand without a peer in that regard.
I think I'll just add one more thing, which I forgot to, and Trustee Hayes, you can, if you want to add to this. We are meeting with INL, RMA, our insurance agents, on Friday and touring all the water sewer properties. So we'll, once again, get another, I've got over the years estimates, in terms of how much to insure them for. And they really are wide ranging, especially water tower, which is interesting, between $2 and $4 million. That's a pretty wide range. So we just need to get their feedback. And also part of that call will be their loss, whoever pays claims, there's a name for it. And she'll let us know what types of most claims municipalities are making in this area. So it'll be very helpful for the water sewer.
Yeah, that's one thing that Peggy.
Oh, sorry, I still your phone.
No. Just to add to what I didn't say, but we learned a lot. We're not done studying the water sewer rate study. What we did identify, however, is it's been some time since the sewer system is in water systems about 25 years old, that it's an opportunity right now to go forth and to analyze the long-term impact of that asset and to make sure it's insured again properly, and to also understand the dynamics at which we can make decisions so we can plan appropriately as to what we need to have in the fund. And it's not that it hasn't been done, but it's been 25 years and it's time to refresh it. So I'm very much looking forward to the call. And we're going to get a lot smarter so we have the right balance of funds in the fund itself and make the right decisions for the community going forward.
Actually, I think he's coming in person, just so you know.
Well, I'm going to be in person, so.
Okay, good. And I assumed we were actually going to go visit the properties, just, yeah, I probably shouldn't use the word call. He's coming here. Okay.
That's a call.
Just make sure we're clear. Okay, they're coming here. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there further questions from the board for the treasurer? If not, Chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 8A through D. A, approve the financial statements as of February 28, 2025. B, pay bills in the amount of $403,912.61 as listed on the accounts payable warrant A dated April 8, 2025. C, pay bills in the amount of $77,887.17 as listed on the accounts payable warrant B dated April 8, 2025. And D, a motion to accept the fiscal year 2026 financial plan, certified statement of revenues, and fiscal policies. May I have a motion in block?
So moved.
By Trustee Hayes, thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Perkins, thank you both. And I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Scheller?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you. Agenda item 9, Administrator's Report.
Thank you, President Richardson. I just have two quick items this evening. The first item is yesterday morning I met with a furniture salesperson looking at new chairs for the boardroom, new chairs for the dais, and new tables and chairs for the conference room. I'm also meeting with someone else on Friday for the same thing, just to kind of get competitive pricing, see where these are coming in at. We do have money in the budget, or we put money in the budget for fiscal year 2026 for those items and for we're painting the hallways and these rooms and the room across the hall. And my second item is just to say it was great working with you.
Well, bless your heart. That's not often said, so I appreciate
It's been a good 2 years.
Yes, well, my company, much like Scotch whiskey, is an acquired taste. I studied frequently in small doses.
That's all I have this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Agenda item 10 is the clerk's report. Ms. Harrington.
Thank you. I am working on reviewing and issuing business license. So those are due April 30th of each year, so that is coming up very quickly. Currently, I have only issued 36 licenses of 185 registered businesses who registered last year. So we have more that have started. They're just working on the process. So hopefully every day I'm getting more and more, which is great. So just working on that. And then I'll be narrowing a really fine focus on one list of tenants because we're running into a lot of issues with us not knowing about certain people in certain places or storaging. So we're working on that. So we're going to really narrow that in and give you maybe a better report when that time comes. So, and also thank you for the opportunity of this position, President Richardson. I made a big impact, especially when my family was here. So just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Rebecca, it has been a delight to watch you blossom in this job. You are an individual of obvious talent, and we're glad you're spending part of your career with us because you shine brightly and it reflects well on all of us. And thank you for the reminder on filling out the statement of economic interest. And if the others up here haven't done it, I did mine this morning because I didn't want to face you tonight not having done so. Yeah. Yeah, I'm scared of you. That's right. Thank you. We move to the reports of standing committees, agenda item number 11. A, branding and comms, trustee Van Ryan.
Thank you, President Richardson. It's been an honor to say those words for the last 4 years, so thank you so much for encouraging me to become part of this esteemed group. It's been a true pleasure under your leadership. And congratulations to Andy, and Susie, and Richard. Looking forward to working with all of you for the next 4 years, as well as John and Peter. One report from Branding and Comms this evening, a reminder that the Race to Remember the Memorial 5K is coming up on Sunday, May 25th. It's the 4th annual and it takes place at LBS. My daughter and I will be participating for the 3rd year and it's just so much fun, the Memorial 5K run and walk for all ages. So if you haven't signed up yet, I encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. 11B, economic development, trustee Burke.
A couple of quick things. Happened to dine at the Lake Barrington Steakhouse last week, and I've been in Florida for a couple months, so I've been a little bit out of touch and went in there. I believe it was a Thursday, Friday night, and I was just so struck by how busy it was, the buzz in there, the vibe in there, and everything about that evening. And our neighbors were first timers; they just had a great time. And so I'm just shamelessly continuing to plug the Lake Barrington Steakhouse because I'm beginning to learn that it is what some people would call a hidden neighborhood gem. So if you think about it like a steakhouse, sometimes it's a little misleading, but I think if you thought of it as your great little neighborhood gem restaurant where you can go and get a great steak and a great cocktail, but they have so many other things, I think that's the vibe that's turning out because I cannot go in there and not see two people that I know. And that makes it actually really fun. It does feel neighborhoody. And everybody's raving about it, and the reviews online are really outstanding. So we're going to just keep plugging away, congratulate them on their early success, but recognize that the restaurant business is finicky, and you have to be in it for the long haul. You got to do it every night, night in and night out. So we need to continue to support that. But we're very excited for them and to see them continuing to grow and to build their clientele as they said they would is really exciting. The other thing I wanted to share with you, and I just didn't have time to get it all done, but I alluded to the fact that Peggy does these analyses on taxes. Well, this time she outdid herself because she did an analysis on retail sales tax that if you put it in a pivot table, goes 26 ways to Sunday. by year, by month, by time, by season, who got signed grants, who didn't get signed grants. So there's a lot of digesting, but there's a really big, some real nuggets of information in there that I'm going to tear apart and include in part of what I would call sort of my annual summary of economic development results, and incorporate some of that in there and share with you some trends that we're seeing across the board over a number of years. So next month or the month thereafter, I will be doing that. And I know it sounds kind of corny, but I'm actually really looking forward to digging into the numbers that she shared with me, because there's a lot. So thank you, Peggy. You gave me something to do because I had nothing else to do. And that is my report for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. 11C, External Relations. Trustee Hayes and I went down to visit with a very large and respected engineering and design firm called Arco Murray. They're part of a larger family of companies in the construction engineering design business. And the purpose of it was to look at a variety of continuity of operations issues. And we're kind of moving from not knowing what we don't know to maybe knowing a little bit of what we don't know. We don't have really convictions as much as we have a greater sense of what the questions might be. I approach this from the perspective of I will never ask anybody to go through again what we went through with the digitization and permitting process. That was a lesson well learned for me, painful. So we're looking at this very methodically. Jim Crum, who was here earlier, because of his training with the Army Corps of Engineers, actually has a lot of background. So he will continue in his work with us, but it will pivot to the funding sources for first cyber defense, and then secondly continuity of operations. And I've spoken to enough folks in kind of the intelligence and national security communities that my thinking has evolved on this. And Trustee Hayes, boy oh boy do I give thanks that he came onto this board, because his background as head of the Illinois National Guard, and each National Guard in the 50 states plays a pivotal role in emergency response. His training as an engineer and his familiarity with both government systems and large companies such as those existing in the construction engineering is just phenomenal. I was really impressed with his line of questions of these folks. They're going to come back to us with some initial thoughts. So this is an embryonic stage. Mayor-elect Burke and I have spoken about this, and I will continue as a volunteer to the community on this topic. And I will just say that my thinking has evolved. I focused initially on the part of the iceberg above the waterline, the part you can see. Makes sense? It's the part you can see. But what I remembered from watching Leo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, is the part underneath the waterline that sank the Titanic. And that part is, if we do a brilliant job of defending our networks, and under Trustee Schallmoser's leadership, I'm sure that will be part of our experience. It doesn't matter if the power grid goes out in 39 states simultaneously. And a number of you have attended my event last November, and you heard that pitch. And since then, I've only had it validated more and more and more and more and more. And so it's really where we're working with Arco Murray and with Jim Crum and Van Scoyoc Associates is on the continuity of operations, because we will work on this. And I want to pay a special compliment to Treasurer Hirsch, because she and my late wife were great friends, and they were both accomplished in matters of accounting and finance. And we had great data for one reason. They didn't tell me. They hid it from me so I wouldn't spend it, because I knew I would. And as I hired an accountant to go through things that Lynn was running for our practice and for us personally, I'm discovering I had money I didn't know I had, and I'm sure she's up there laughing. She says, well, of course, you think I would tell you, you would spend it. So part of that data that Andy complimented, and part of her great successes, and my younger daughter is the one with the particularly sharp humor like her mother. She said, we're Radar O'Reilly and you're Colonel Blake. result has been pretty good. So we're going to look at this and find out what might be needed. Could we do it? And then could we pay for it? And how long will it take? So if I learned anything from the prior experience, what did the great rock opera, Tommy, you don't get fooled again? And so as the Who said 50 years ago, we won't get fooled again on this. So Rich has been a great mentor to me in this, and this will inform my post-retirement passion project of spreading this gospel around to small and medium-sized cities around the country and in the UK and Australia. So we started that. It was a fascinating discussion. They brought the CEO, which was impressive, to listen in on this. I've also spoken to David Burns, the Director of Cyber and Continuity of Operations at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And I hope that Trustee Burke will join me in a trip to Washington sometime and get to know them in the National League of Cities where we've been members. I've gotten a lot out of it. I think the smaller you are, the more the networking is important because we don't have the big staffs. And over the years, I think of the mayors in much larger communities who have shared their resources with us. I could estimate in 20 years, I bet we saved $100,000 in consulting fees simply because I could ask the Public Works Director about drought planning in Laredo, Texas. So I didn't have to spend a long time with the engineers here that we pay. And I find the networking, that's why I encourage the administrator and the clerk to be active in those things, is network. You're only as good as, and I'm dating myself, you'll remember this, you're only as good as your Rolodex. You're only as good as your Rolodex. So that's my report, but I will keep the board informed on this, working under and with Trustee Hayes on this. So 11D, Finance, HR, and Admin, Trustee Hayes. Now that I volunteered you for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, well, first of all, President Richardson, it's not lost on me. I wouldn't be doing this and not here, and all this had you not reached out with me with Randy Brady. So I'm grateful because in so many ways it's fun to get back. And reflecting on my tenure here and reflecting on your 20 plus year tenure, your love and care for the community, amazing. You didn't have to do this. You wanted to do this. And you freely gave up so much of your time, so much of your resources to make the community better and make everybody's lives better. And you're not done, although you're done next month when Andy Burke is going to step into your shoes, but you're going to keep going. And it's not lost on me how important that is for people to step up what you have. And I'm proud to serve with you, and I'm proud to serve with you forward. So thank you for everything you've done. I know this is not the end of the further opportunities to toast and roast you at the same time, right? But I just want to say thank you for that. The only thing I want to add to for everybody on the call and in the room tonight, this continuity operations, President Richardson's onto something, I think, because I had a chance to meet with every Adjutant General of the United States last month to understand their views and perspectives on where they are in things. And the idea that the cavalry will come is the way our system is designed. It's designed that we have a bad day, the whole of the government comes together, and we solve the government's problem at the local level, with the local government being in charge. And the reality is, we haven't experienced something that happened in the United States in a long time that would put everybody in a paralysis mode. We need to change how we think about we do things, and I'm going to give Kevin all the credit in the world for having pushed this. We have to learn how to take care of ourselves, and we haven't had to do that forever in this country. And it's not that hard, because if you look across our community, all of us on the board, but anybody in the room or anybody in the community can sit there and think about the talent we have in our community that can help solve these problems. So we have two options: do nothing and wait to react to the moment, or be proactive and take that talent and identify the problems that we may confront and then provide solutions ahead of time so we're not caught with our pants down. So Kevin, you're spot on this. I'm so appreciative that you thought this way, and I'm sure you had some help along that journey, but I think this is the right thing. And I think the next step for us, I'm going to work with Teresa, need to work with you next month, but I need to get the community to rally around the idea We need the community's help to help ourselves. And I want to do outreach to the community and find talent across medical, just all the things that we could need in a bad day, that we know who they are, and they can participate in a plan so we can be ready in any such eventuality. And I'll tell you, doing that will have a huge impact on bringing confidence that we're not going to have to worry about when this does happen. But when it does, we're ready, we have a plan, we know exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to take care of ourselves. So hats off to you, Kevin, on that. Budget, I know that next month we're going to do the appropriations, so that should go smoothly. I'm really appreciative of Peggy and Sharon on the prioritization of spending for next year, that we can go in there and know how we can adjust ourselves should we need to. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to meeting with the insurance folks on Friday to discuss the water sewer. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 11E, roads and infrastructure. Trustee Schalmoser, it is good to see you back, friend.
Thank you very much.
How's Leo?
He's doing very
I want to hear that violin in here.
He played downstairs one day, and I could have swore it was a CD, and it was just phenomenal.
Well, I think all of us up here have proven that talent is inherited from the mother.
In this case, that is accurate.
It's true in every case.
Yes. But thank you. So relatively light schedule. We're going to be meeting at the pre-construction meeting on the 22nd for Woodford Trail, taken care of, and going over the specs on that, and making sure we get communication out. Long lead times. We learned from a couple of other projects. Over-communicating is always appreciated and strategic. So that is that report, but I also like to thank you for allowing me the chance to be on the board. You know, every once in a while you meet what I call a person, a mile marker in your life that really stops you and say, wow, this is a person that has really a good impact in my life, and I'm very fortunate that I live here and know you and everything you've done for me, and I really appreciate it, so thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, I reflect on this next month a little bit, but I don't know that I would have had this success if there had been caller ID when I started, because none of you would have answered the phone. You'd have seen my number popping, and you're answering that one. That's definitely going to voicemail. So I'm glad I was able to encourage you into public service, because you acted with great distinction. Thank you. Agenda item 11F, public safety, Trustee Schauer.
Thank you, President Richardson. Unfortunately, I was one of those that did answer your call. I think I took over at your request 20 years ago.
My empty words.
That's right. Were it not for you, I wouldn't be here. So I appreciate it very kindly. Hopefully you haven't regretted that decision.
No more than you've regretted me.
Okay, love fest.
Not at all. Along the lines of your cybersecurity and learning from what is going on, DACOG is doing this tabletop next week that I think goes a long way towards perhaps raising awareness in the whole area of what you're pioneering. And the more you hear, the more you read, the more you experience, the more you realize this is something we really need to be proactive about. Because it's when you think of the consequences, it's scary. And what's going on in the whole world and what's going on now, how easily it would be to cut off all the power to get into your databases on your medications, how easy it would be to do that, and where would we be if and when that happens.
Well, can they get the fire trucks and the ambulances out of the garage if there's no electricity to open the doors?
Right. Yeah. So it's, we'll learn a lot, but there's a lot to be learned. So appreciate it thus far. Lieutenant Kirk, your boss was here today. I think he said good words for the lieutenant. I had good words for the Lake County Sheriff's Department to him, and again, my ongoing gratitude for what is provided. I know the Administrator and I both got these now daily reports for activity that has taken place the need is there. So I think a lot of us maybe don't realize exactly what you bring to the table. Appreciate that. What are you bringing to the table these days?
Thank you, trustee. Just a real quick recap. Over the last month, we haven't had any major incidents in Lake Barrington. Countywide, there's been a couple of different areas of civil unrest, reference some of the different political things going on. I have not heard of anything coming down this way. If anybody gets any information on that, please do let us know. Any information is good information. In those instances where we have had some protesting and stuff like that, there hasn't been any sort of violence, so at least that's good. The weather, with it getting warmer, days getting longer, we do see an increase in traffic problems, whether it's traffic infractions or traffic crashes. So if I know you did report a traffic problem to us last month, so if anything like that continues, we'd like to jump on that and take care of it before it becomes a major problem in Barrington. So please do keep reporting those to us, and we'll be happy to address those as they come up. And other than that, President Richardson, I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. I don't know how long I've been doing this with you, probably ever since Chris Thompson got promoted, so that was 2 deputy chiefs ago. So
I guess I've been working with you since you were a corporal.
So good luck in your retirement. And if there's any other questions, I can address those.
I've seen a recent, again, increase in spams again, number one. And number two, they're talking about FedEx drivers leaving packages where people come and pick them up before the people that are supposed to be picking them up are picking them up. We had, it seems to me, I've seen a fair amount of that noticed or publicized that certain things are happening.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any specific incidents in Lake Barrington, and I haven't seen it personally. I haven't heard of many of those reports come out recently. We see that more during the holiday season in the winter, but I haven't seen that lately. But I mean, it does happen all the time.
Yeah. Okay, what spams do, getting phone calls, tax time, and what, I'm in jail, let me know. Send money, things like that. Thank you very, very kindly, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
As far as the Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District, it's interesting since they went from contract employees to all employees of the department. They're now talking about how we're going to set a pension for all of them. So obviously that's a large amount of additional revenue and tax dollars will go towards setting up pension for that department. Already you got Wakanda that's doing it, and I think they have like $51 million in their pension, so it's a major expense. And equipment. Both of the departments are indicating they need updated equipment, and it now takes 18 months to 24 months between the time you want to order it to the time you get it, just because of the backlogs. It's interesting. I don't see the line report.
Hey, John. John, this is Trustee Hayes.
Yes, sir.
Could you do me and Sharon and Peggy a favor? Can we set up a meeting to meet with them to understand the dynamics of that so we can plan appropriately?
Oh, yes.
The impacts, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I did want to, unrelated to public safety, I did want to announce from Lake Barrington Shores, we know on a golf course. That's been an on and off issue for many years. I've lived there for 34. And since the developer kind of walked away from it, we've talked about it, came close to buying it 8, 9 years ago. It didn't happen. The former owner passed away a couple of months ago. Family wanted to sell it. We got back into negotiations again. So for $1.8 million, the HOA now owns the golf course. Now all we got to do is figure out what to do with it now that we have it. But that probably will involve finally reopening
agenda item 12, there is no, oh, excuse me. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, you always hurt the ones you love.
You know what?
You know, the lights are on, but
There's a
nobody's
lot of
on.
nice things about you.
Well, there it goes. That's, wouldn't be the first time I fumbled in the 5-year line.
Okay, just kidding. I'm still okay, so we, of course, have our summer concerts coming up here very soon, June, July, and August, the third Thursday of the month. And then September 6th, Barrington and Brews, okay? That's that business, but I wanted to thank you, President Richardson. This past last month, right before the local elections, I hosted a reception for Steve Way, who is on the Barrington 220 school board. I hosted a little reception for him. Thank you so much for coming over. Really appreciate that. That meant a lot to him and to me. So it was really great. Thank you for your support. And Andy, you as well. You know, I talked to you about it being right out of town. So, but thank you so much for the support. Second, thank you, Kevin, for we made a wonderful choice when we moved here. We had a few different properties that we were really interested in, and then we saw our house and fell in love with it. It was the others were just an afterthought, and it really worked out well for us. We've had some wonderful neighbors, and one of my favorite things was always on a spring day, taking Lily out for a walk when she would still walk with me, and running into your lovely wife, and we would just chat, and that sweet voice of Lynn's, and that was one of my favorite things. And then you brought me into the local government, and I learned so incredibly much. So I really thank you so much for being such a wonderful neighbor, and just for all the knowledge, all the support that you've given us over the years. Dave, myself, Lily, all the cookies you bought. And the girls, I think the girls would like cookies.
Absolutely.
Peggy, I know Peggy was big on that too. She was.
I'm so glad you're done.
Me too. But yeah, all the cookies. I think you were a thin minter, right?
Oh, big time. Frozen ones would have been free.
Yeah. So, but anyways, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and I'll still see you in the hood.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I didn't get a chance, and this is my mistake earlier, to thank muchísimas gracias, señora Cruz, para tu servicio, para nuestra comunidad, y muy buena suerte en el futuro.
Gracias.
She has been very kind in helping me bailing out. I can get by in a Spanish-speaking country, but I can't really conduct a serious business meeting. And Lynn had done all the landscaping services, and the guy wanted to be paid, and he came for his money, and that's fine. And I didn't know what the breakdown was, and I called Ellie and I said, can you translate, because I'm not calling this man a liar, I'm telling this man my wife died and I don't know what she agreed to. And Allie was extremely kind and patient in translating for me at a time when I think she had quite a bit going on in her own house with kids and I think a dog. And thank you for letting me practice my Spanish with you over the years. I like to do that, and I hope I'll be able to continue to do so. Thank you. Agenda item 12, no old business. None on 13 for ordinances or 14 for resolutions. Nothing under 15 for new business. There is no one seeking recognition on non-agenda items under 16. There is no closed 17. There is no business under agenda item 18, so we will move, and Chair would like a motion to adjourn. May I have a motion, please? Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.